Hello and welcome. Today we'll be replacing the battery in this iPod Touch 6th Gen, which as you can see is pretty expanded at the moment. So yeah, let's get into this. It is kind of a little easier to get apart when the battery is expanded, because in order to get into it we just got to pop this screen off here. And that's held in, as you can see, the glass doesn't sit directly on the metal backplate. There is actually a plastic sort of layer that goes all the way around the frame, and that has these little clips on it that attach it to the metal backplate, but it also is adhered down at the bottom here as well. So to get it apart, what you're going to want to do is use some sort of metal pry tool. I like to use a box cutter blade, again a dull one, but I guess I'll probably have a go with the iPod opening tool as well. That might work decently. Some people would recommend plastic tools, but I would say that's probably not a good idea because it probably just won't work very well. So yeah, as you can see, I'm starting along the side here and just releasing some of these clips, which as you can see are coming off way easier since the battery is a bit expanded. There's two clips at the bottom here as well, which are coming off quite easy. Let's work our way along this side now. You just don't want to crack the glass pretty much, or the LCD as well. I think the only thing that's holding it down now is just a bit of adhesive along the bottom here. Can maybe get the plastic tool to separate that a bit more. There we go. As you can see, this should fold up now. Yeah, and then that just folds open like this. And there is flex cables up here that you want to watch out for. Obviously you got the camera and the digitizer and all that stuff. Alright, now be careful of your home button as well. Now we should get out a little parts tray or something just to put all our screws on. Because the next step is just to unscrew this back plate, which is held in with screws all along the sides, as you can see. So get out your screwdriver. This one's an electric screwdriver, which for repairs like this can save you a bit of time, because there's a lot of screws. It's not super necessary to have an electric one, but if you do repairs like this often, it can be somewhat of a handy tool. So if you want to check out this screwdriver, I'll have a link to it in the description. And I think pretty much all these screws are the same size, except for this one at the charging port and possibly these two at the top. Actually, I'm not 100% sure. It shouldn't really matter if you mix any of these up, but it's always good practice to use a mat like this and just put them in the exact same spot where you got them from, because on some devices putting them in the wrong spot can cause damage. Alright, it's all good. Now after we got all those screws out, this mid plate should just be able to lift out. Was stuck a little bit there, but yeah, that's the mid plate. You can put that off to the side now, and now we can get a look at our big puffy battery, which is soldered on the logic board on this one. So in order to remove the battery, we're just going to have to desolder it and solder in a new one. We don't have to do any more screws now. We don't have to take the logic board out or anything like that. Literally just soldering our new battery. And yeah, the solder joints for the battery are hidden under this little piece of tape here, so we'll remove that next. There you go. And then just under here, there you go. And this battery is held in with some pull tabs as well. Although I might desolder it first before we have a go at the pull tabs. So over to the soldering iron now, I guess. Alright, now we're over at the soldering iron. When I do this, what I like to do, as you can see here, I've got my bottle of alcohol. I like to just lean the screen up against it like that to hold the screen in place, so we don't have to hold it with our hand. So we've got two hands free now. Yeah, but that also means you can do this battery replacement without having to take the screen off as well, which is pretty convenient, because that will take a bit of extra time, I guess. Now to desolder it, what we're going to do, we're going to get our flux paste, put it all over the little solder pads there, grab our solder, turn our soldering iron on, and I'm going to put the fan on now as well. Yeah, so I first just started off by applying some extra solder to all the pads, but what I'm going to do is this flex cable is actually adhered down a little bit just with some adhesive to the rest of the logic board. So what I'm going to do is going to use the tweezers to sort of lift up around the sides of it just to unstick the adhesive, and that'll just make it a whole lot easier to actually desolder it. Alright, I've gotten that pretty much unstuck now. So now what we want to do is hold this with the tweezers and then heat the solder joints and lift this up while the solder is still running. But when you're doing that, the main thing you want to avoid is ripping the solder pads off the logic board, because if you do that, that's obviously not going to be good, and that will be a very difficult thing to repair. So yeah, don't force it and just lift up slowly, I guess. Alright, there we go. we got to do is clean up this little area here. So to do that, let's make our solder, let's like flatten these a bit, and then we'll use the isopropyl alcohol and the Q-tip to wipe up the adhesive that's all around it. Alright, there you go. So after a bit of wiping it down, as you can see, we've got that area nice and cleaned up now. There's no gunk left anywhere around there. So now what we want to do is pull out this battery, and on the 6th gen ones there are these little pull tabs. As you can see, there's one in here right below the speaker, and then there's another one on this side under there. So we will pull these out now. These don't always come out too smoothly because you can't get the best grip on them as well. Let's just try this here. Alright, we got the first one out. I freaking hate these pull tabs as well, by the way. It's better when they're just adhered on normally. The pull tabs end up breaking half the time, so not actually that good. Although they might be satisfying to watch in the videos. They're just kind of a pain to deal with. Now to get to the second pull tab, it's sort of concealed a little bit under this thing, so you're going to have to wedge the BMS board up a little bit, and then we can reveal the edge of it. There we go. Nice. Alright, and there we go. There's our expanded battery. Alright, now grabbing our new battery and just sliding this into place. Actually, before we do that, I want to put down some new adhesive. So yeah, you do want to use a bit of adhesive just so it doesn't rattle around in there. Because if you don't use any adhesive, yeah, you're going to be able to hear the battery moving back and forward if you shake the iPod or something. So you do want to use a bit of adhesive. I like to use this stuff here. It's like 3M, this black stuff, black double-sided tape. You get this on AliExpress. I have links to it in the description, but this is a good one for phone repairs. So I just put 2 strips down on the back here, and this will make it a lot easier to remove in the future if you ever have to do another battery replacement compared to the pull tabs. Alright, there you go. And now here's our new battery. I'll have links to get new batteries in the description as well. But you see this little part here, that sort of slots under the logic board like this. Place that down. Alright, now let's fold it over our flex cable, and you want to make sure that these pads are aligning with the solder pads. So let's do that now. It's good if you have some sort of magnification when doing that. I use a microscope, but if you have one of those helping hands tools, sometimes those come with a little magnifying glass as well. Just want to make sure you get this in the right position. It's got some little holes in it. You'll be able to see the solder underneath. Alright, that's all good. Now let's grab some of our flux paste and solder this back in. It is important to use flux paste as well, because you can't see what's happening underneath the flex cable here. And sometimes if the solder's not flowing 100% correctly, sometimes the solder can bridge to the pad next to it. So if you use flux, it'll help it flow better. Alright, so once you got that in position, just make sure there's no pointy bits or anything. Now we can clean up this flux paste again. So just using some isopropyl alcohol with your cotton bud, and then wipe down the whole area. Alright, nice. Now before we put that metal mid frame back on, another thing we want to do is place some Captain tape over our little solder joints there, because if you forget that, then as you can see, this is metal, and metal on metal, it can bridge the connections, and you can get like random power offs and stuff like that if you don't do this step, if you don't put the tape down. So just get a little piece of tape and just do it like that. Yeah, and if you're not sure what the difference is between the Captain tape and the regular tape, it's not just a different color. This is like designed specifically for electronics and stuff, so it's like heat resistant. It's not going to short circuit it or anything. Good to use the proper stuff if you want to do a proper repair, I guess. Alright, now let's get this thing sealed back up. Okay, so before we actually seal the iPod back up at this stage, now can be a good time to give it a test. So there we go, power's on. Apple logo shows. Oh yeah, sometimes when you put a new battery in for the first time and then you click the power button, it won't actually fully power on. Sometimes it'll require you to plug it into the charger first. This one seemed to work on the first go when I just hold the power button, but I think it's like a safety feature or something. So if it's not working when you click the power button, yeah, just try plugging it in. Alright, now's a good time to test out all your other functionality as well before we get it sealed back up. So I'd test like all the buttons are working, cameras, headphone jack, charging, you know, just pretty much everything. I can't do that right now because this one's got a password on it, so I can only test all the stuff that we can do without a password. So let me just do that quickly. Can pretty much just test everything except the camera. All right. Now let's get this thing back together again. So what we want to do is just screw this metal mid plate back in, but before we do that, I may actually clean this old adhesive off and apply some new stuff. To be honest, you can get away with not doing that on this model because the screen's mostly held in by the clips, and this adhesive is kind of secondary, but for the sake of the tutorial, we will replace this adhesive down here as well. And it also remains somewhat sticky after you take it off anyways, so you don't always have to replace this. Alright, there we go, got that cleaned up now. Now let's get this mid plate back in, and we'll get our screws back in as well. Can sometimes help doing a screw at the opposite side after you put the first one in, just so you don't end up with alignment issues and stuff. Yeah, I kind of like to put some adhesive on this side for the home button if the home button has come unstuck, because it can keep it better aligned. Alright, now just grabbing the little home button. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't come off the glass, but in this case it has. Alright, there we go. Now we can put some more adhesive down at the bottom. Yeah, and another thing, if you're finding that this plastic has started to peel off from the glass, it can be a good idea to readhere that back down using some B7000 glue. In this case that hasn't happened though, so we don't need to worry about that. Now we can just remove these bits of adhesive. We can clip the screen back into place. So as you can see, it's got like some lip sort of things up at the top there that you just gotta push into place first. So get those aligned. Our home button's fallen out. Maybe that needed more adhesive. Try that again. Alright, yeah, so you see these two lips up at the top here or whatever. What you want to do first is just put those into place. Make sure they're sitting in the right position. You can push this down and you hear all the clips go in. And there we go. The iPod has now been fully reassembled and we have our new battery installed. So I will just stick this on charge now, and should be all good. Alright, so thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. I've got tutorials for the other iPod touches as well. I think we just did one for the 1st gen, and then I've got one for the 4th gen and the 5th gen as well. The 5th gen is very similar to the 6th gen one. They look pretty much identical on the outside. The only way you can tell is the 5th gen has a little button thingy in the corner here for the wrist strap that it came with originally. So if yours was a 5th gen, you can go check out that video instead. Some slight differences inside, but it's very similar. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time, and bye.